Prashant Neel, Prabhas. These two people have created their own legacies, and I still get called Chudel. And bold matlab wo ladkiyan milke shots kar rahi hain. Goth Papa. See, they may be superb actors, but they're parents, okay?
For all film-related interviews, reviews, and content, please like and subscribe to Pooja Talwar. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram.
So when I last spoke to you, you told me if there was a book in your name, if you were to write a book, the title would be Angry Women Do It Best. Do they still do it best?
Yeah, definitely.
So now you're out with your single. I absolutely love the video, the 4 phases of women, which I think we embrace a lot of sides to us. How was this conceptualized?
So it's like been really multi-layered, even the way I wrote the song. This is a feeling, sometimes you just have a feeling as a person inside of like, I want to say this, and then kind of articulates. And I used to sit on set a lot and be like, what am I trying to articulate? Which is why that woman is there sitting on set waiting to come out. It was this feeling, and then finally it kind of came out as a love song to myself and a call to someone else's monster, saying that this is the part of me that I love the most: the darkness, the rage, the emotional violence that I have. This is what I love most about myself, and that is my monster. I was told that that's the monster. So it's like a love song to myself and a hunt for the other monster. But why? Who told me that this is a monster? Why is she a monster? So then that got me thinking down the track of the women who were misunderstood in history. So I used the archetypal witch. So some were burnt at the stake, some were burnt in a tree. Chudel ho ya witch, the misunderstood woman has existed time immemorial through culture, irrespective of place or time. And we still have them, and there are still metaphorical stakes at which we're burnt. So I wanted the narrator, which is in every generation, there's a Joan of Arc or a woman or a Jhansi Ki Rani who hammers the point and raises the flag. And then there's the woman who was waiting and represents a lot of Therav jo chahiye. Some women have it naturally, some women don't. We all have to navigate it to finally the monster in the purest dark feminine form.
Which is so true, but I think we all embrace all these sides because there's a bit of everything, each one of us in us, you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to portray yourself in a certain way because this is what you're meant to be, but then you realize, hey, that's not me,
Yeah.
For someone who's, I would say embraced the many sides to her, how difficult is it as a public figure with that constant scrutiny to embrace yourself and saying your truth?
Yeah, when I first, I know we've spoken about this before, there was the Shruti that was working, that people liked, that was doing the things in the way that, people accepted and considered me extremely successful. But that was the time in which I was internally the most unhappy because I felt inauthentic. And I felt like I wasn't being true to my calling and my form of expression and the way I like to communicate. When I came back, people were like, she's wearing black all the time. Why is she doing this? Why is she doing that? Like, I just start going back to the Shruti I had forgotten and started expressing myself in the way I like. And I got a lot of flack for it. And I still get called Chudel. And I just want to say it's the greatest compliment because that's totally the vibe I'm going for. And I'm totally an urban Chudel, and that's my vibe, And I'd much rather be called the misunderstood witch and celebrated for that than the conformist woman that makes you comfortable. How acting has influenced my singing and music is I actually try out different voices, even for different songs. And I really love that. So this was a different character. Yeah.
Who's actually the influence, your music influence, one person?
There's not possible to have one person. So there's so many people who influence me.
So who comes to mind? Like when you started your musical journey?
honestly, like a lot of classical singers, and for me growing up, like Asha ji actually used to be at home a lot. So that's the first trained voice I heard in front of me and realized, oh, that's like Asha ji and SPB sir were in and out of our home all the time. They would just sing. And I remember once Asha ji came to meet my mum in Chennai, and I went to call my mum, but she was standing in the garden in a white silk sari, and she was just touching a leaf, and she was doing these vocal runs, like alaps. She didn't know I was watching her. And I was like, oh my God, this is a superpower. And I could hear up close like these magnificent voices and see what a voice could do. So all of this has just ingrained into me without me even realizing. So these really exemplary voices that were around me, I could hear and say, okay, this is incredible, including my dad's voice. A lot of people don't know what an accomplished vocalist he is. So that was really great. Listening to music, I think my biggest influences were first the Beatles. And I know it's like a standard answer, but they're just so good. Like they're just so good. Like they're still just so good. I listened to a lot of English music growing up, not gonna lie, because then, now everyone's like, you, Desi gaane nahi? Haan, I listened to MSV, R.D. Burman, A.R. Rahman sir, Ilaiyaraaja sir, who gave me my break. But I resonated a lot with, I think, a lot of heavy metal, a lot of male vocalists, like Chris Cornell is one of my biggest influences, and Tori Amos in the female singer-songwriter space.
Tori Amos, that's the name I was trying to connect. Yes.
Yeah, Tori Amos is like one of my biggest heroes, not just as a musician, but just the way she's conducted her artistry. It's just insane. Bjork, again, for just being Alanis Morissette, like for what a pathbreaker she was. So many people, really. But yeah, in the men, definitely Chris Cornell and just a lot of different people, really. A lot of rock and roll as well.
But I think with your music, you find that creative liberty to express yourself far more.
No, I'm in charge of the creation here.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of the performance as well, but like there's only so much I can, because there's a script, there's a dialogue, there's a preset narrative. So when I write a song, it's very different, and then when I get called to sing songs, it's very different, because then like one of the songs I'm most famous for in Tamil called Kannaraga, which is from this film called 3, which is everyone's favorite song is, and like so famous still, is not in my real voice, because I'm singing as a 16-year-old as the character. And it just like pisses me off so much, because I'm like, that's not my real voice, Voice is much deeper and much raspier. And I've got a lot of like comments about my voice throughout my career as well, because it's not your quintessential female voice. It's something I really pride in myself in, and I use it in my music a lot.
Absolutely. And also talking about you as an actor, I'm in the Eye, all set for the Greek Film Festival. Well, Shruti, finally we have Salaar all set to release in December. Do you think there's just too much of pressure being built on Prabhas? Prabhas's Salaar.
And I want to say, Prashant Neel, Prabhas. These two people have created their own legacies, their own storytelling, their own corner in the world. And that has to be honored. Monster Machine is not for Prabhas. Monster Machine is for Shruti. Salaar is for Prabhas. It's okay. The story is about that. You get me?
Yeah.
In the film is me, is Mr. Prithviraj. There's so many people. So many. But it is Prabhas' Salaar, and it's okay. And it's Prashant Neel Salaar, and it's fine. Like, what's the problem? It's fine.
No, I get it.
Salaar is mine also, according to me. So it's fine.
So, but can you tell us a bit about a much-awaited release coming in December? And there's going to be one big clash also with Donkey. So what do you have to say about that?
I don't know. I care about our film. I'm so happy. We've been making it for a long time. And it's been, everyone's like this big film in your career and these big people. And I understand all of that. And I'm so excited. But I mean this from the bottom of my heart to say, I have met some of the most wonderful people ever because of this project. And I also want to tell people, I had made another version of Monster Machine. I was like wondering what to do, how to do. This video has been shot by Bhuvan Gowda sir, who's shot Salaar and KGF. He's such an amazingly accomplished cinematographer. Just that, Shruti, I want to support you in what you're doing. It's different, it's unique, and it's your passion project, and count me in. So I'm so blessed for that. Not only that, it's produced by Black, which is the company where Shantanu, Hazarika, and myself. We're not a big production company. We have budgets, we have constraints. We were trying to figure out what, and Prashant sir just said, use the part of the set that we're not using and use the art director. Go for it. Whatever we can do to help.
How sweet.
And so that's also why Salaar is so special to me, is because I met really generous, wonderful people who have been so supportive to me, including Prabhas, who've just let me be myself on set, who've let me have a nice time playing this part and being a part of this. They've just been lucky.
Awesome. Really looking forward to it. Much awaited film of the year. And it's Prabhas, you and Prithviraj, short blockbuster written on it. So fingers crossed. How about the eye? What was your experience working with the eye? Because here you said you got to play a role that you've not played before, directed by a woman.
And movie, the eye is as estrogen filled as it can get, because it's written by a woman, directed by a woman, produced by two women, and then with a woman lead. So it was a lot of estrogen, and it was amazing to see the sisterhood come together, and different kinds of women with different kinds of strengths come together, create this circle of trust, and make this story that I feel so honored to be a part of.
And going from a project like set of Salaar, where, male, testosterone driven, what was that like? What was the difference that you could feel?
It was so funny that I was just thinking once, and I love this word, emotional violence, and women are not allowed to really have emotional violence. Going to the dark place, be it through Monster Machine and my other songs, is like where I thrive, in the dark place. The eye is all about a woman navigating to the dark place and then back out. It's really about that, to put it in one crux. And it was an emotionally violent film for me. And I didn't want to overdo it. I wanted to bring in the nuance that we can't, as people, men, women, we're not going, we're going, I can't cry right now. I need to keep it together. I can't cry. I can't. All of us are choking ourselves with pain. And I wanted that to come across. And I remember sitting and thinking, Salaar is this huge set, and there were portions that were really action-filled and violent, and there was things flying and blowing up and all. And then I went to a quiet indie film set where there was so much violence from the female perspective of emotional pain and violence that it felt like the same film. You know what I mean? So I was just it's so relative. It was just, it's a different experience. For me, Salaar was pretty much almost done by then. You know what I mean? So for that portion, we kept going back and forth. For me, it was I finished the eye, and then I went for a Telugu film, was dancing in the snow. So that was a huge jump for me.
Awesome. But it's amazing, Shruti, because I think I would say your activism also reflects in the kind of roles that you're choosing to play, where, you get the opportunity to do that. On one side, there is a Salaar, a commercial masala. On the other hand, you have the eye. But, recently we've seen a spate of these heroine-led films, as they still call them. And a lot of actors have spoken about, they still look at us saying, oh, heroine-led films, itna investment nahi banega. You think we need more of this for the perception to change? Because they do try to get in, the audience, but not as much as they can with a
there needs to be a new economic model.
Yeah.
I mean, like everything, right? Like large scale industry versus small scale business. So are you telling me just because a large scale company makes water bottles that a small scale, you know, organic retailer cannot make a water bottle? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know why we don't apply that more specifically. Yes, you will not get the budget of Salaar for a female-led film currently. Hopefully we will. Hopefully we will in the future. Also the question of how many films need that budget is like a whole different topic of how many films, like if you had a pool of money, like how much gets allotted to films, you know, if there's no system like that. So everything is kind of like, we work in a very very functional industry in terms of like how successful the Indian film industry is, but the entertainment industry the world over, it has too many variables and too many permutations and combinations to put this. But I do feel that I don't like female driven stories because I just want it to be like people driven stories ultimately.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
if we're speaking in that sense, it does need a separate approach and economic model. And I've always said this, because the problem is also even female films get cast in this kind of desi kahani, the fighter hood. There's not even like shades of gray in the women we're playing, right? Like there's so many women in between who don't have matlab bold, matlab wo ladkiyan milke shots kar rahi hain. Like it seems to be like no in betweens, you know, even in the women's.
I get you. We've just
There's
seen
refinement that's needed from the financial side, from the storytelling, from everything, I think, you know. And I'm not saying this as an actress, I'm saying it as a viewer of female driven content.
Absolutely. You have a point then. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. So before we go, describe yourself as an actor in one word.
Growing.
A hashtag that describes you best.
God Papa.
That's lovely. How did you come up with that?
The best name anyone's ever bestowed upon me.
Papa, why not? Of course. But has your father ever influenced your decisions? Do you like ask him before you take your decisions regarding your roles or something? Or it's just independent of you?
No, I don't ask because his advice is amazing, but he's also he comes from a vantage point sometimes with the experience is really useful to me. But sometimes a vantage point, I'm not able to apply it because I'm in a completely different level of the industry and I'm in a completely different space. So I can't apply his wisdom sometimes. I can't apply it practically. So I don't.
But do you get feedback from your parents?
Yeah.
And whose feedback do you take seriously? Because both of them are superb actors.
I have to, okay, see, they may be superb actors, but they're parents, okay? So like everybody will understand that you have to like take what your parents say and sift and then take out the gems and keep it in your pocket. So that's what I do.
Absolutely. Any actor whose talent you really like envy or admire?
Kate Blanchett. Like really blown away by her. In India, like I'm perennially fascinated by Tabu ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. What she does is just amazing. And
I think she's fantastic. There are many more singles coming away after Monster Machine. Maybe not all of them will have a video, but finally there will be a continuous and steady flow of my music.
Awesome. Monster Machine ko monster magic. Anyways, you're creating your magic. It's fine. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.
If you've liked this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.